If we could move to a little bit about the ITIL on the next slide. So ITIL originally stood for IT Infrastructure Library. I don't think they use that acronym anymore. They're still calling it ITIL, but they don't spell it out. It's just referred to as ITIL now. But it was started in the late 80s by the Brits. They sent it out to the public domain in the early 90s. It's been around for a long time now, over 20 years, actually going on 30 now. And it's got a lot of success stories around it, especially when you get into the European markets. They've been using it for a lot of years. It's written around process, and it's also written about the life cycle of IT services. And then it was edited again. Version 2 was in the early 2000s. That's where I got my start as a certified expert. And then version 3 came out in 2007 with another edition in 2011. And we're expecting one to come out sometime late next year is when I'm hearing ITIL 4 is going to be completed and published. The only thing I've seen on it that I can really hang my hat on right now is that they're changing the certification schema for people like myself that teach and consult. But I haven't seen a lot of detail around what's inside the content. And that's really what I'm waiting for. That's where the meat and potatoes is going to be. Moving on to the next one, just to talk a little bit about the value of using something like ITIL. And I talk specifically about ITIL because that's the majority of where I spend my time. But I know that COBIT and CMMI and Malcolm Baldridge and a lot of those have different approaches to the same concept here. But specifically ITIL is around value-driven services, establishing portfolio and a catalog, aligning with the business, and that's really critical. So in too many worlds that I've walked into around IT services, they're very focused on their internal delivery of IT and not near enough focus on what their business expectations and requirements are. And so for an example, I was working with a help desk, trying to figure out why they didn't have happy customers. All of their metrics reflected that they were meeting their SLAs, but their SLAs were misguided. And the first clue that I got on that was when I got on a call with the business, one of the business management teams. And when I told them I was there representing the help desk for IT, they refer to it as the no help desk. So even though we thought we had great services we were delivering, obviously we weren't aligning with the business. And that's drop dead critical on any of these, but especially ITIL very specifically focuses on alignment of the business. As well as continual service improvement. As I said from my previous example with that manufacturing organization, if you're not continually looking at how your services are delivering, then you're probably going to become irrelevant to the business. And if the business is your primary customer, then the risks are pretty obvious there. There are a set of best practices or good practices, focusing on ROI, again, for the business. And since these standards have been out there for going on 30 years now, one of the mantras that I have as a consultant is why reinvent the wheel? You don't have to follow it. It's not a Bible. It's not a strict set of guidelines, but there's a lot of good practices in there. So why go off and write all your own practices when you can leverage what's been out there for many years, has been proven to work? And in most cases, I think in all cases, you're going to end up tweaking it. That's understandable. But when I'm in a consulting environment, I always challenge that and say, okay, I understand that your business is unique. Every business is unique. However, let's start with this as the baseline. And if we use what we've got in the collateral that's out there as a baseline, then the need for change and the need for customization should be minimized. And especially if you're going to use IT service management tools, there's several of them out there. You've probably heard of ServiceNow, Remedy, Sharewell. I work with a company called For Me. They all do great jobs around ticketing tools and change management tools, but it all follows the guidance within the ITIL, in the IT service management. So the more you can stay on that path, the better your tool is going to function for you out of the box.